Well, what's up guys, this is Daniel from Arms Family Homestead, and in today's video I'm going to be taking an old cast iron pot that a friend gave me and trying to restore it. Cast iron cookware is some amazing stuff, and there's some really old cast iron cookware. This is an old Dutch oven that I got for free. It's not the right lid, but we're going to do the steps. We're going to go through the steps and try to restore this old cast iron Dutch oven and this old lid to its original glory. So the first step is I'm just going to soak it in vinegar. I'm going to put this thing in a big tub and let it soak for quite a while and try to loosen up some of that rust, and then we'll pick up from there. Alright, so our cast iron Dutch oven's been sitting out here a lot longer than 24 hours. It's actually been about a day and a half, but as you can maybe be able to tell, it's raining out here. It's rained all morning. Not going to complain about the rain because we've sure needed it. But look at this. I came out, dumped the vinegar out of the Dutch oven last night. But look at the color of that vinegar. That just looks awesome, doesn't it? The rust in here, you can see it's starting to come out. There was a lot of rust in this thing, so it's probably going to be pitted pretty bad. But I'm going to use a metal scouring pad and just some soap and water with some just regular old dishwashing detergent, and get this thing started, cleaning it up really well to see if we're going to have to take a a wire wheel from my angle grinder or something to it to get some of that rust out. So let's get started. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera or not, but there's a lot of rust in here that's been pretty stubborn. This thing's pitted pretty bad. There's no telling how long it was sitting outside rusting. So we're probably gonna end up having to break out an angle iron with a wire wheel attachment on it to get some of this knocked off. I think the lid's actually in a little better shape than the pot. You can see where I just barely touched this with the scouring pad, and most of that rust came off. That vinegar actually works really, really well to get all that loosened up. Look at that. Look what a difference I made in just a couple seconds. This lid's gonna turn out really well. I just don't know what I'm gonna put it on. So I think I've done all the scrubbing on the pot I want to do with this for now. As you can see, there's still a lot of rust and just stuff that's not wanting to come out. So it's time to break out the big guns. Got my angle grinder with a wire wheel brush. But first, the Lord gave me 2 ears, so I'm gonna protect those. He also gave me 2 eyes, so I figured, well, I better protect those. And 2 hands, so might as well protect those, because I don't feel like he's ever gonna give me any more eyes, ears, or hands. So let's get to grinding. And the right tool makes all the difference in the world. You see how much rust that's already taken off of there. So after about 45 minutes or an hour on the angle grinder and 7 rain showers later, here's where we stand. The lid looks amazing. I mean, it I'm not gonna say it came back to factory, but it looks a lot better than the pot. The old pot's got some pitting on the inside I don't think we're gonna be able to fix. But we're made some good progress. I don't know if you guys can see. I don't know how well it'll show up, like I've said. But the inside is pitted pretty bad, but it's not looking bad. I mean, I'm actually pretty impressed to get, I would say, 99% of the rust out of there. The outside looks pretty good. Still looks a little rust colored, but we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next step in this process, and that's get this thing washed up. I actually washed it 2 or 3 times, but you can see a lot of that's still coming off of there. It is raining, kind of a really kind of muggy, humid day here in Oklahoma, so I'm not gonna let this thing sit outside because it'll rust up again really fast. I'm kind of bummed. This was a free pot. It was a free cast iron pot. The lid is not the correct lid. I may be able to use this lid on a skillet or something. It's a 12-inch lid, is what it says anyways. I really don't think it's a 12-inch lid. Look at the markings on there. Can you guys see that? I don't think that's a 12, but I'm not a cast iron expert. It says it's a Wagner brand, and then below it says Sydney. But if nothing else, we'll use this to make pancakes on a campfire or something. We'll use it for something. It's a good lid, but just not the right one for this pot. Which, if the pot doesn't turn out perfect, like I said earlier, we'll use it as a fish cooking pot. It'll fry up some really good fish, I promise you that. I'm not worried about it being sticky there because it's gonna be filled full of peanut oil. Look at that. It's not perfect, but it looks like a totally different piece of cast iron than when we started the other day. So I've got my grill heated up, and I'm not gonna cook like super high temperature. I just wanna get this cast iron good and dried out and open up the pores in the metal before we start putting our oil on it to season it. So we're just gonna lay it here on the grill. So my Dutch oven and the lid have been on the grill for about 10 minutes or so. They're really hot. They're honestly way too hot to start the seasoning process. So I'm gonna pull them off of here and let them cool for a little while. So while those cool off a little bit, I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about what I'm gonna be using to season my cast iron. This is some lard, some pork lard that we actually made ourselves a couple years ago, and made a video on it back when we were brand new to YouTube. Am I like right up in your grill, folks? Anyways, we made some lard for the first time a couple years ago, back when we first started YouTube, and made several jars of it. And it smells like lard. It's good stuff. I cook with it all the time. But super easy to make. I just made it in a crock pot. And I'll leave a link to a video right up there and in the description box down below. It's an old video, guys. Take it easy on me now. We were new to YouTube then. So, all right, so it's time to start applying our non-stick coating, a lard, to the cast iron. Now, it's still pretty warm. It's not so hot I can't touch it, but it's still pretty warm. And like I said, we're just gonna use an old t-shirt sleeve. Rub a little lard on there. And we're gonna do this process probably once a day for at least the next, I don't know, 3 or 4 days. You don't want the oil just running off of it. It's just lightly coated. And we're gonna move this back onto the grill at about 300 degrees and let that cook on there for about an hour, maybe a little less. Turn the grill off and just let it come down to normal temperature on its own. So with the Dutch oven, same process. This one's still a little bit more warm because it's bigger and thicker. But we're gonna coat every inch of the inside and the outside. As you can see, there's still a little rust on the outside of this. But honestly, it's starting to rust over really, really fast. It's been raining today. I just washed this a little while ago and it didn't look like that, but after letting it dry, it's starting to get a little light surface rust really fast. So we're gonna get it coated with some lard. And like I said, this is a free Dutch oven. You could probably do a lot better job than what I'm doing. I'm not that concerned about the outside. We'll get it coated so that it doesn't rust too bad and see how it goes. But my main concern is trying to get the inside of this thing seasoned up really well and see if we can bring it back to any kind of a non-stick surface. Now, like I said, I'm just gonna leave those on the grill at about 300 degrees for about an hour or so. Then just turn the grill off, and then either this evening or tomorrow we'll come back out, put another coat of lard on there, and we'll repeat that process. So depending on how that seasoning is starting to look and how the coating is starting to look, you know, like I said, we may use up to 5 coats of lard. Well, here's the finished product. It turned out really, really well. I just really wish, I'm kind of bummed out. I wish this was the right lid for this oven. But like I said, we'll do something with it. I'll probably end up using the lid for pancakes or something, making pancakes outside over the fire. It would work as a lid if you were just making like a soup or something. But this isn't a lid where you could put charcoal on top because it just doesn't seal tightly. But we'll make good use of it somewhere. And like I said, this was just a first time project. First time I've ever restored any kind of cast iron myself. And it turned out pretty well. We went through about 4 or 5 cycles in the seasoning process. Turned out the inside, look at that. Looks pretty good. It's not like amazing. But I don't know if you can see on the camera, as I've said many times, it's pretty well pitted. This inside of this is pitted pretty bad. But it accepted a lot of the seasoning. It's a fairly smooth surface. So we'll have to test it out. Maybe we'll do some outdoor cooking videos in this little Dutch oven soon. Cook something just to see how well it's gonna work as a non-stick Dutch oven. Maybe we'll start out with some fish or something to get some extra seasoning in there. Because you can't have too much seasoning in a cast iron pot. I mean, I'm just super pumped because you saw what it looked like to begin with. This thing was solid rust. It was in bad shape. It looked like it needed to go to the dump. And we've restored it. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any tips of your own for restoring cast iron, leave them down in the comment section below. Like I said in the beginning, I'm not an expert on this. This was a first time experimental project. I really enjoyed it, but it was a lot of work. And I'm not kidding. It was definitely a lot of work. So, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a great day, and we'll see you on the next video.